Before I forget, I should mention that this is not sponsored by Microcenter. Microcenter is just simply very close to where I work, so I stop by there every once in a while to see what stuff they have. I didn't get sponsored by them or anything like that. This is just me spending my own money. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Broken Nose Gaming here. Like I said in my last video, I was at Microcenter recently and was just kind of window shopping and came across a couple items that reminded me of an older video I did when I purchased the cheapest at the time gaming keyboard and gaming mouse that I could find. I think I may have outdid that video because the new items that I have in this video are cheaper than the previous ones if memory serves correctly. Now the star of this video is going to be the gaming keyboard. In the previous video I bought a Microcenter branded inland gaming keyboard. It was a return slash refurbished model where the price was lower than it would have normally been, but this new gaming keyboard that I have bought is even cheaper than that one. I believe that one was about $25, and today I have a keyboard that is even cheaper than that, and it is still a mechanical keyboard, and it also now has hot swappable switches, which the last model didn't have. So what is the keyboard? Well, it is another Inland brand keyboard. It is the Inland Rapture Mini mechanical gaming keyboard. This is a 60% 10 keyless mini keyboard that is mechanical and has hot swappable switches. Now the price on here says that it was originally $39.99, but at the time of when I purchased it, I got it for a blazing $11.99. As a matter of fact, when I went to go get the price, the site showed that they had no more of these keyboards in stock at $11.99. They had sold out of them. So what do we get? So we get a RGB with multiple modes mechanical keyboard that has Otemu brown switches, and they are hot swappable as well. It is powered by USB. It has a USB-C connector on the keyboard, and it goes to regular USB-A on the computer. Inside the box you get the keyboard, the cable, and I believe you also get a couple other tools. Here you get some spare what look like switches and a keyboard keycap and keyboard key switch puller. So for $11.99, this is looking like a pretty good deal to me compared to the last model. Now one thing I noticed in the description of this keyboard, on the web at least, was the description stated that these switches were Otemu Clicky brown switches, which browns usually are tactile, and that is the case on this. I did see some reviews where people were like, the statement said, oh, it's a clicky keyboard. It's not, it's silent, it's tactile. I don't know if they just kind of got their wording mixed up or something like that, but this is not a clicky like blue switch keyboard. As a matter of fact, they're not very loud switches, which they shouldn't be because they're brown. Now Otemu brand switches I know go in Red Dragon keyboards quite a bit, and I did some further research on this keyboard. It does look like it was made in partnership with Red Dragon for this model, so Microcenter / Inland reached out to Red Dragon and they produced this keyboard for them. Otemu switches aren't my favorite, and I'm not even sure if I'm saying them right, but I don't know, they feel gritty, I guess is the word I'm looking for, but I'll touch on the switches as we go into the keyboard. As a matter of fact, speaking of the keyboard, let's go ahead and we'll take a look at it. So here is our keyboard in all of its glory. Now as you can see, I have it just as a solid green, but you can do different modes. You can do RGB, you can do solid. There are several different RGB modes inside of the keyboard. I just left it on a solid color for it being easier for me to read and not having the RGB change all the time when I'm looking at the keyboard. As I said, this is a 60% keyboard, and it has no number pad. It doesn't even have arrow keys. Everything is very compact. Looking at this closer, and I might even pop a key off here. So the keys, the top is your standard kind of textured finish to it, but if you go to the sides, and I know it's going to be hard to see in the video, The sides are a very shiny, glossy black, which makes me wonder if the texturing on the top is actually just applied at the end of the keyboard manufacturing process, which makes me wonder how long these keys are going to last when it comes to usage. The textured will eventually become the shiny. It's kind of like a weird, the closest thing I can describe it is like, I know pudding caps have like textured on the top and then they're smooth on the side, but they're usually white or translucent so the light shines through, and it's just the opposite. It's shiny, but it's opaque, it's black, so nothing shines through. But I bet the shiny is the standard, it's the actual like key, and I bet this textured stuff on the top is probably going to come off over time. So I've gone ahead and disconnected the keyboard. When it comes to the USB-C connection, I'm not a big fan of this. The USB-C connector on the keyboard is recessed into it, which means it's rather deep, which means not every USB-C cable is going to work for this keyboard. Like, I know for a fact that the cable that I use for my EpoMaker Shadow X would not fit inside of this keyboard port because it's too recessed. This isn't the first time Microcenter's done something like this. In a similar case, Microcenter released a wireless mechanical number pad, and the wireless mechanical number pad also had a recessed USB-C port. Now granted, the number pad version is nowhere near as deep as the keyboard is. It's still a problem where you're not going to be able to fit every USB-C cable you have into this port, so it is very important to hold on to the cable that comes with this keyboard and also with this number pad. So outside of the drawback of the recessed USB-C port, the build quality is okay for $12. There's not a whole lot of flexing when I flex the keyboard. I mean, there is some, but I mean, it's a lot less than I've seen in other really cheap mechanical keyboards. So I'll give it to Microcenter or Red Dragon for making a fairly solid, budget-friendly mechanical keyboard. The only other thing I will touch on is how it feels to type on or how to play on, and we'll go ahead and I'll just do a quick test on how that feels. So, as far as how it feels and how it sounds when you type on it, I'm not sure how well my camera picked it up, but it's pretty hollow sounding, which doesn't surprise me because I'm sure there's no like gaskets or stabilizers or anything fancy under the hood when it comes to the baseboard of this keyboard. Little metallic spring sounds from the switches, which again is not super uncommon for these. If I am going to use this keyboard and I had the money, which right now they are on sale, they do have other mechanical switches. There's a model from Red Dragon, their bullet switches, I think they're called Fs or Wukongs. They are very similar to Glorious Pandas or Holy Pandas or whatever you want to you know, put in flavor wise, but they're like $3.99 right now at the time of this video for a pack of 24. They're probably a little bit better than the switches that come in here, or if you really wanted to spend money, you could always get something like Baby Kangaroo 2.0s or something like that. I use Baby Kangaroo 2.0s in my Shadow X keyboard, but those are like 25 bucks a box, and I mean, if I'm going to spend that much money on switches, I'm definitely going to put it in a better keyboard than this. So if you're looking at budget, just bear in mind that the switches that come with it are not fantastic, but they are not the worst switches I've ever felt, and at least they are tactile and not linear. Personal opinion. Now, along with the keyboard, I did pick up a mouse. This is a quote-unquote esports gaming mouse. It is also from Microcenter. It's the Inland brand. This is an Inland GM-CT54 esports gaming mouse. It does look very similar to the mouse that I had in the previous video, which I believe was from the 99-cent store, which is now out of business. Unlike that one, this one is not super ridiculously heavy. It also has a DPI button in the middle here to make it gamery. Of course, it has a very limited RGB ring and also lights up the brand name on the bottom. Now, this was a whopping $4.99, and honestly, for $5, this isn't bad. I would much rather use this mouse than that mouse that I had in the last video. It does suffer from the same sort of feature as the previous gaming mouse, which is, if you look in here, I don't know if it'll show up, but the sensor does light up red, which not many mice do anymore, so this is kind of an older sensor technology. But I mean, you know, it's $5, so I can't complain too much. But it has a DPI button. It has 3 or 4 predetermined DPI ranges. I use it at, I think, 1200 DPI. On my regular computer, I have a Pulsar that I use at 1600 DPI. It's pretty light. It moves pretty easily. Its feet are actually garbage. I'm not even sure. I don't even think there's actually feet on here. There's just like pieces of plastic that are also attached to the piece of plastic. But I mean, it slides okay. I mean, like I said, this is a $5 mouse. This is another budget option. But when I looked at the reviews, I was actually really surprised at how many people like this mouse. One feature that I thought I was going to like was these buttons looked like they're actually separate buttons. They're not. They're just molded that way. So there's like a little sort of line molded into the mouse to make it look like they're individual buttons. I'm not a fan of having mice buttons connected to the body of the mouse. I'd much rather have them be their own separate entities. So I was a little bamboozled by that. Like I said, I can't really complain. I mean, at least this mouse isn't like a pound like the other mouse was. This is okay. This is okay for $4.99. The whole set of this was $18.30 with tax, I believe. So it is really, really inexpensive. Would I recommend these? Well, for under $20, yes, I would recommend these as a budget option. As a matter of fact, these two by themselves still cost less than the budget keyboard mouse combos that most companies sell at Microcenter. I think the cheapest one that I saw at the time was like $35, and it was a membrane keyboard and some just random, not very good looking mouse. Yes, it's a good deal for a budget, especially because you're getting a hot swappable mechanical keyboard and a fairly okay mouse, nothing special. But that being said, if you don't have to be this tight of a budget, there are better options out there, obviously. It just is all up to what your budget can handle. For sub $20, this is not a bad deal, and we'll probably do everything just fine until you could get something better. But I will say props to Microcenter for making budget gaming peripherals that aren't too bad and would probably be okay for average use. Anyways, these are our new kings of budget gaming peripherals. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until I see you in the next one, take it easy. Bye-bye.